Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Desire Dialogues, where we dive deep into all those things sexy, love, and relationship, all the wisdom. Today, we're actually going to talk about something pretty important for keeping your connection strong: the ways to understand and nurture your partner's emotional and relational needs. So, dude, trust me, once you crack this code, your relationship is really about to go next level. So, buckle up because we're going to dive deep into the secrets that help create these like satisfying bonds, right? They're really rich, they're really connected, and you're really like on the same page, right? So, ready? Let's get started. What are relationship needs? So, let me start with that basic, right? So, well, emotional and relational needs are those like deep desires, like fundamental. Like we all have that like influence on, how we connect, communicate, and honestly just like feel in a relationship. These needs also are going to vary from person to person, from couple to couple. All the different people that I work together, we all have these different relationship needs. It's like a basic primal need, and it is for that person. The needs are going to vary, but when they're met, my goodness, do you feel secure? Do you feel valued? Do you feel loved? But like when they're unmet, which is a lot of what I work on with my clients, and find the easiest way to share that with your partner without blame, that gets really beautiful. But when things are unmet and they're unmet for a while, that's where things get really messy, right? They can get really painful. So really, like in the simplest of terms, understanding the needs is like knowing your partner's emotional love language, right? It's really the key to building that connected relationship. So like, what are some of the core needs in a relationship? Let's dive into some that I've seen, right? The big 5 core ones. So again, every relationship is unique. And then, there's some key needs that most people have in their romantic relationships and partnerships. And so here are the 5 that I've seen, and exactly reasons and examples of how to actually nurture them too, how to see them and how to nurture them. So the first one is emotional support. So this one is huge. I really need this. We all want to feel like our partner, has our back, especially on that really shitty day. So whether it's work stress, drama, you fight with your best friend, work, family, you got crazy mom stuff, who knows, right? When you have that emotional support, it's truly like, oh, I'm not alone in this. My partner has my back. So example, like after a bad day at work, if you come home, do you want your partner like offering your solutions, or do you want your partner to just listen to you? One way that you could say, you can start it right out in the beginning is, hey, I'd really love to just be listened to for a little bit and just have a hug. I had a really bad day at work. There's your emotional support. Or you can ask them too, I'm really looking for solutions. Could you help me brainstorm? And then tell them what it's about. Number 2, physical affection. So touch is really one of the most basic ways, humans communicate safety and love. Whether it's cuddling on the couch, holding hands, and yes, of course, enjoying physical intimacy, wink, wink. Physical affection is a big need. So example, when you feel the love, when your partner just like hugs you, right? Or kisses your forehead without any reason other than to just show affection. Number 3, validation and appreciation. So these are my words of affirmation, people, right? That's one of the love languages. And for this type of basic need or a core need, it's where everyone, wants to be seen and valued. All right. To truly be seen, it's that appreciation, right? So it's not enough just to like do things for your partner, but you actually are going to need to feel appreciated, for who you are and what you bring into the relationship. So instead of focusing on what your partner didn't do, tell them how much you appreciate the small things. Like a simple thank you for helping with dinner can go a long way. Number 4, communication and understanding, right? So like we all, need to feel heard in a relationship, that honest, empathetic, and open communication needs to be there to strengthen your bond and help resolve any conflicts that come up. So like, example, if you're upset, you just want your partner to listen. You want them to hear you. You need them to understand where you're coming from without judgment, okay? They don't need to agree, but to understand or try to understand is the key here. Number 5, shared intimacy and connection. So this is where the magic happens, the need for those shared moments, whether it's meaningful conversations, sensual experiences, shared adventures like a cooking class, a dancing class. These are those like feeling close moments. It's the deeper intimacy moments. This is vital for these people. So for example, like doing something fun, like a spontaneous date night, a new activity, you're going to pottery class, you're going to blow glass, right? Whatever it may be, these help you strengthen that emotional connection. So now that you know some of the common relationship needs, are you kind of figuring out what yours is a little bit by listening? I'd love to hear from you. You can always reach out to me. And then how do you actually figure out what your partner needs, right? This is where the things get interesting. The trick, listen and observe, but truly listen, not just to what they're saying, but also what their actions are telling you. So, pro tip, my friends, pay attention to the things that make them feel loved and secure, through body language or like a little smile, right? Even when they're not saying it directly back to you. So first off, number 1, ask the right questions. So like sometimes you have to be brave enough to ask your partner what they need. You can't always assume that it's the same as yours. It's very, very common that it's not the same. So example, I notice you seem a little distant lately. What can I do to make you feel more supported right now? So these questions like open the door, right? They're open-ended. It's not a yes or no. Number 2, be attuned to their responsive. So like when people express their needs, it's always usually in different ways, right? So some are direct and others may like show frustration when their needs aren't being met. Some may drop hints, right? But like example, like if your partner seems irritated or withdrawn after a busy week, it may be a sign that they need more quality time with you, but they aren't really asking for it directly. Number 3, pay attention to those nonverbal cues. Body language says a lot. So if your partner is like pulling away physically, it could be a sign that they need more affection, right? But when they're pulling away, it's just because they don't want to be turned down, and if they're not opening up emotionally, then maybe they need more validation and empathy. So for example, like if your partner is hugging you tightly, it really could be their way of saying that they need more comfort. They need more of that, even if they don't use their words, right? So our next section is how to nurture each other's needs. So like, we know some of the core needs, right? We got a few clues about how to recognize them. And then now it's like, okay, Lauren, but how do I nurture them, right? Especially when I'm super fucking busy and I have a million things to juggle. Here are some tools, my friends, to help keep that emotional connection strong and nurtured, right? Number 1, my favorite thing in the world, active listening. I know, I'm like a broken record. So when your partner's like chatting, right? They're sharing. Listen actively. It's not like you're just waiting for your turn to speak, right? It's really like you're asking follow-up questions, or you're reiterating back to them, or you're rephrasing and mirroring back to them. So like example, instead of thinking your next point, when your partner is speaking, is kind of taken away from it, right? If you're in your head, a simple like, I can understand why you feel that way, goes a whole long way to really like, I heard you. I see. That's a big thing for them being seen. Number 2, stay present and available. So like, I get it. In today's world, constant distractions. It's so easy to let your partner's needs slip through the cracks. And it's really important. I love a good relationship check-in. I suggest weekly. And it's one of my free resources in my link down below. I have a couple others too. This is a great way to be on the same page. If there's any needs that were unmet the week before, you can really prioritize them. And you set the stage to have this check-in where this is when we talk about it. So when we stay present, right? Put down your phone when you're talking to each other or when you're out to dinner. Make some serious, eye conversation. Really, really, really eye contact. It really drives the point that you're there, you're in the conversation with them, And when you're showing up the moment, that really tells them you're important to me and I'm here for you. That's a big, safe feeling, right? Number 3, don't wait for perfection, my friends. They are not about grand gestures and definitely not about perfection. We cannot do relationships that way. It's about that daily show up, day in, day out. Meet each other's ways, meet each other's needs, in like small ways, meaningful ways. So, like, for example, if you know your partner needs more quality time, make a plan to watch a movie together, take a walk, cook a meal. It's the little things that really add up into the emotional fulfillment bucket. Really, really, really. So, my loves, here is your challenge for the week. Take a moment to reflect on what your relationship needs are. What are your needs? And then ask your partner about theirs. Just go in with an open mind. You can learn some new things about each other and new ways how to meet those. But don't forget to nurture your own needs too, right? Because relationships and partnerships are a two-way thing. So thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Desire Dialogues. If you found it helpful, share it with someone who may need it. And as always, if you've got questions or topics you want to dive into, hit me up on social media or through my email. But until next time, keep connecting, keep growing, and keep loving with attention and intention. My friends, what do you desire from your partner when it comes to your core needs? All right, my friends. Bye for now.